This is Car Guys Talk with Andrew and Tavarish.
Hey everyone, how are you?
What's going on, guys?
Hope you're having a fantastic day.
I also
really,
hope you're
really
having a
good
fantastic day. I hope even more harder than he hopes that you're having a fantastic
That's
day.
not possible.
I'm a better person. Thanks for tuning into the Car Guys Talk podcast, where we talk about cars and car culture. My name is not Freddie Hernandez. My name is Andrew Howell.
And my name is Freddie Hernandez, but you may know me as Tavarish if you're looking on the internet for Freddie Hernandez and you come up with my face. So, yeah, we're just going to be talking about cars and stuff. So, I had a bit of an experience that I think I should talk about in the last, the experience was in the last few weeks.
Okay.
And I went to the Amelia Island Concours d'Elegance. D'Elegance. Yeah.
I've never been to the Concours d'Elegance, even though I lived very close.
Elegance?
I lived very close to Amelia Island for nearly a decade. But
Yeah, you live in Jacksonville, right?
St. Augustine. But I never felt the need to fork over $125 to go to a car show.
Well, it's $125 now, but here's why you should, okay? Because it's really cool. And
I mean, that be that as it may, I don't have that kind of spare cash to just throw down to go to a car show.
So here's the thing.
And I don't think many of other viewers here do as well. We're regular car people.
Well, we're regular car people, but
We, not you. We.
Oh.
I'm saying the collective we, except for you.
Except for me.
Yeah.
The we stops in the middle of the table right
It does,
here.
yes.
Okay, so you don't have to go to the $125 Concours d'Elegance. What you can do is they have a instead of going to the Ritz-Carlton where the Concours is, right next to it is a free car show, and they have supercars there. So it's like festivals of speed, that sort of thing.
Sure, and I've been to that, but I've never been to the actual Concours.
Right, but okay, so but the day before there's a free cars and coffee.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
so
that's free cars and coffee.
yeah, but
anytime you go to a cars and coffee.
no, but it's not the same thing. But it's on the grounds of the Concours, so you still have a lot of those cars because they want to do the cars and coffee as well. So you'll get a real big mix of, it's not just regular cars and coffee. There are going to be some pre-war, Bugattis or.
So I can park my Focus ST next to like a Duesenberg, say.
I parked my S600 Mercedes next to a 1940 like Mercedes that was completely restored and everything. Like this thing was probably $500,000 or something, and I parked my $12,000 160,000 mile Mercedes next to it, and next to that was a 190 SL. So it was like the 50s or 60s 190 SL, but they had put in the basically the running gear from an 04 SL 600.
Okay.
So it had the V12.
Yeah.
V12 twin turbo.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So it was
fine.
That was real cool. So it's kind of like a
rad.
resto mod type thing.
Which is rare in the Mercedes community.
I mean, I met a lot of really cool Mercedes people there, but the whole experience was like I was invited with Doug DeMuro and Tyler Hoover to be a celebrity YouTube judge. Yeah. So
I've never heard of the other guys.
yeah. Well, they're up and comers.
That's good. Yeah.
You might,
I'm glad that you're giving them some exposure. That's good.
I mean, this is the most exposure that they're ever going to get, but it's fine. So I went with those guys, and it was a total blast. But we were invited to do this thing where we judge. First of all, I'm a bad judge of anything, like
Character or whether or not to buy a car.
Yeah. Just in general, I'm a bad judge. But they asked to do the category was car that would get the most YouTube views. Like if we put it in a video, if it would go viral.
But my ST wasn't there though.
Yeah, but we're talking about most YouTube views, not least.
Sick barn dog.
Yeah. That's gonna be no for me, dog. So we were looking around. It was basically me, Tyler, and Doug were walking around. Or I mean, if you want to go in descending order of subscribers, Doug, I, and Tyler. And also, we also met up with Sam Crack and Rich Rebuilds. Rich is Rich Benoit from Rich Rebuilds, and he does Teslas and stuff like that. And if you guys don't know who that is, please go check out his channel, Rich Rebuilds. You will not be sorry that you did. It's just the best. He does Tesla rebuilds, and he does it with a kitchen knife, and it's amazing. So
and he trash talks Tesla a lot. It makes me happy.
He does. It just makes you happy. Yeah, you tell him, Rich. Yeah. Take that, Uncle Leon. Uncle Leon.
That's what we called Elon Musk.
Leon.
Little insider tidbit of information.
Oh, okay. So what shall I do with this information? Should I write a tell-all book? You know what they really call him? Leon. Yeah, that'll get him. So we did this thing, and we're walking around these grounds, and you see these $1 million cars. I mean, all these pre-war chitty bang bang cars. Where, first of all, quick aside, why none of them run? Like, all of them are broken.
So it's SEMA.
It's
just SEMA.
It's sort of like SEMA, but the cars weren't built. Like with SEMA, I can understand because there's so much work that went into the car that
SEMA's 7 days. We got to finish this build.
SEMA's tomorrow.
We have 24 hours to build this entire car. From nothing.
For a box of scraps. So with SEMA,
Chip Foose built this in a cave with a box of scraps.
So with SEMA, I can understand where you're building a car. Obviously, with these cars as well, you're restoring them, and there's these are years long projects and whatnot. But like, I saw so many cars that weren't even close to running. Like there was a Jaguar XK 120 that looked great, but then they turned it on and it looked like it was on fire. It just looked like there's smoke billowing out.
Well, yeah, Jaguar XK 120,
right? But the other ones ran, and this one was.
Did they?
Yeah. Well, actually, no. You know what? They might not have.
Yep. And if they did, it was probably like a Corolla motor just swapped in there.
That's true. It's just a Volkswagen Beetle motor or something. No. So it's like there was some old car with wooden wheels, and it was backfiring like crazy, and it just cut out on the lawn. And I went over and I said, "Hey, do you need help, like pushing or whatever?" And the scowl that this guy gave me was like, I just invited myself to kill his dog. Like I said, would you like me to murder your best friend? Like it looked like that.
I think he could just smell the lack of wealth.
Yeah, maybe.
He's
maybe.
Like, you own Lamborghinis that don't run.
No,
you're disgusting, you Philistine.
Yeah. 2003. No, I was like, okay, fine, just it saves you a trip to the golf cart or something. I don't know, but everybody else, barring that, I don't want to say that this was some hoity-toity event. Like this really was a really cool event.
Oh,
there was a lot of awesome cars. There was 2 Mercedes 300 SLs. That one was a barn find, which was car number 43, I believe, like chassis number 43, and then chassis number 44. Both of them were purchased by Mercedes. 43, they were purchased like in similar conditions. 44 was completely restored, and 43 was left just as
44 is bright red, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
And 43 was like silver. But like 43 was just left completely to its own device. Let me see if I can pull this up. But let's look up 300 SL chassis 43. So let's see. Okay, yeah. 2 Mercedes Gullwings, and we shall go right here. So check this out. So this is the 43, and it's just in all of its barn find glory. But then you have this one, and it's just perfectly restored, and it looks amazing.
I didn't think I would like that car in red as much as I do, but it fits so well.
It's a great. So these cars are beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
It's insane how much the prices have skyrocketed, but it's just that's kind of the nature of the beast. I think they might get a little softer. I think they might get a little lower, just as people tend to.
Click on that black one.
What, this one?
Yeah, with the red guts.
Oh, that's real nice. So, interesting fact about this. This one is unrestored. So this is, you can see it. There's a lot of like wear and stuff on it, but it looks like a driver, or at least looks presentable enough that it can run or something. But the reason why you have these really high door sills is because this was a completely, well, you see the frame right here. Of course, you don't see the frame because it's like 2 pixels wide. But it has this this basically like not a ladder frame, but an
endoskeleton.
Yeah, kind of like that. So it's just a space frame underneath. And the rules of racing, like these were originally made as race cars, rules of racing said the doors had to open, but they didn't say how. So Mercedes, in their infinite wisdom, they just made this a gull wing to have a really, really strong chassis. And this was the fastest car in the world.
Yep. Top speed was 140?
I think it was like 150, something like that.
Okay,
yeah. So these had an inline 6, and they had, I think, like 220 horsepower, which was insane for 1955. Like that was a lot of power for that. But I digress. So that's why I like the Concours. I love seeing stuff like that. But it's not just the Mercedes SLs. I mean, you have stuff that you've never heard of in your life. And they've made, it's a one-off car that they made in 1931. And then, the SS got it. And the Jews were hiding it for 10 years. And like, there's so much history there.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the kind of cars we saw. So we had to pick cars that we thought would do well. So we stumbled upon a 1997 Cadillac that was a Pope mobile. And it was actually never used by the Pope. I'm going to see if I can pull that up. So it was commissioned by GM, and I think it was 97. Let me see. Cadillac. So it's commissioned by GM, and they built it in... Yeah, so it's a 98, right here, and it cost to make. It cost $600,000. So this is what we saw.
This was in, I think, Tyler's video.
Yeah.
He
So
covered it briefly. Yeah.
Tyler,
with that crazy like the desk chair essentially.
Well, yeah, it's a desk chair, but it looks like it's from a bass fishing boat.
Yeah.
And somebody paid not somebody.
GM.
Yeah. GM was paid $600,000 to make this in 6 weeks. So we tried to run the VIN number like a Carfax. There's no VIN on it. But the attention to detail is so lacking here that we were like, this is the perfect car for YouTube. Because first of all, there's no strengthening anywhere right here. Like it's just, this is it. This is all the strength that you get. So there's like a little bit of a raised floor, but that's other than that, that's it. So this thing must drive like an accordion. Like it must just, I don't know, not waft down the road, but like just waffle. I don't know.
I think it was meant to go like maybe 5 miles an hour.
Sure, but the Pope never even used it. So it was never used by the Pope. And it's just the symbol of wasted money. And also this Pope emblem is just a sticker. The pillars right here, they were hacked off, looked like with a Sawzall, and then they just put in, this is movie car stuff. They just put a little cap panel there with like some wood screws. And this is, I think, from a limousine version of this, and then they just cut the roof off. But there's also climate control, but obviously climate doesn't do anything. I don't think that they did anything with the suspension, but this was definitely going to be the car. However, the rules were such that you had to. The car had to make it onto the lawn under its own power. And unfortunately, that car did not have... there was some issue with the engine.
Was it a North Star?
Yes, it was.
Well, that's interesting.
That is so rare, isn't it?
Because those are such...
reliable and
engineered.
And not head gasket blowing.
No, that's... Wow.
So that car didn't run. So we couldn't pick that one.
And back when you said that it was like movie car stuff...
Yeah.
It wasn't. That's just GM.
That's just
That's just 90s GM.
Well, it's not 90s GM because 90s GM had somewhat of like This was not quality. This was like I made this. Like I made this in an afternoon. That sort of thing. So that would have been great. But we ended up having to go with the next best thing, which was, of course, a Lamborghini.
Oh, yeah, of
because Lamborghini on YouTube is just...
And not only that, it's a Lamborghini that eventually caught fire.
Yes, so
there's a formula here. We can work this out.
I feel like we can get. I see numbers right now. They're just flowing. Oh my god! I see the Matrix. I know kung fu. So yeah, the Lamborghini we picked a Lamborghini Miura, and it was a great looking Miura.
Blue,
probably, and I don't know. I got sick that day, and I had to go home because I'm just a big wuss. And they picked it. I saw the car, and it was a nice one, but it could.
He's a real nice.
He's a real good. So it got onto the lawn under its own power, and then it just stopped. But I think that was enough to get it the trophy. Like you just have to get it sort of there.
Yeah.
So the car was just inoperable, and then they started calling other cars to get their trophies and whatever, and people were trying to fix this Miura on the lawn, and out of nowhere comes Valentino Balboni, and
yeah,
that was a good one. That was good. You know what I want to do? I want to throw, every time you yawn, I want to throw a little piece of paper in your mouth. Because like, you know what it is? It's like that clown that you have to fill up his mouth with water and then the balloon pops. Like when you go to have you ever been to a fair, like a county fair? Do you understand what I'm talking? Did you have an aneurysm?
Hello?
Okay. Well, anyways. So Valentino Balboni comes out and he starts working on the car. Like it's his job. He's there.
I think it was at one point in his job.
No, but he's there for like a celebrity, and he was like, I got this. He's like, tinkering around with the carb and stuff, and then all of a sudden you hear people screaming because the car's on fire. And
big surprise there.
Lamborghinis never burst into flames. That's not what they do. But
okay.
Yeah, I think it's the first documented example. I mean, if Tyler hadn't been there with his camera, I don't think that they would have had a clean record.
I feel like we could probably call Royalty Exotics.
Yeah,
they had a guy out of that caught fire. There's someone else on YouTube that had a guy. I think it was a guy out of that caught fire.
I don't think anybody else did. Whatever. You'll figure it out. So
Omelet.
Omelet. Yeah, Omelet did. Yeah. If you guys don't know who Omelet is, check the last podcast because I'm sorry, Omelet. So
zero to a-hole.
zero to a-hole. That's us. That is us forever. You hashtag forever Omelet. So, so Valentino Balboni is there with this car on this $1 million car, and the engine is on fire. Like not the whole thing, but just like a little, some gas sprayed or whatever. And he's there trying to get it out. And then he gets it out because he's Valentino Balboni. Of course he's going to get it out. So, then the car won the thing, and I like that you can still win an award and your car's on fire. But the whole event it's not just the Concours. It's a bunch of auctions.
Yes.
And when we talk about auctions, we're not talking about, the
Copart
or the kind of auctions that Tyler Hoover gets $6,000 Hummer H2s from.
Yeah.
We're talking about, Bonhams. We're talking about Gooding and Co., RM,
Sotheby's.
Russo and Steele. And these auctions are like the amount of crazy money that you see. It's like it's so past.
Some of these cars have 2 commas in their prices.
Yes,
two commas.
Two commas. Yes, and they talk about it like it's nothing.
Yep,
like it's. So I went to a RM auction that was in the Ritz. So that was the auction where they had the record-setting Toyota Supra. So
what Supra?
Toyota. Did I say it right?
No.
No?
No.
How do you say it?
Toyota.
Toyota?
Yeah.
Is
Toyota.
that how you say it?
You said Toyota and then you said Toyota.
Toyota. There
it is.
I feel like that's wrong.
Well, no, it's not.
I feel like that's wrong.
No.
I feel like you're saying it wrong.
Even if you're in Japan, you don't say Toyota.
No. Well, how do you say it in Japan?
Toyota.
No, but you have to say it with you have to say it in Japanese.
Okay, yeah. Toyota.
No, but you're saying it like an American. You have to say it like Toyota. No. That's putting too many syllables. Okay,
Which they are wont to do.
yeah.
With their, anyways.
Yeah. Fun fact. I was doing a timing belt on a on a Lexus actually, ES300, and you know what? There's a company that, well, the company is named. I'm not sure if it's named, but one of the top guys there is Akio Toyoda. So Toyoda.
Yeah.
But on some of the parts, they're marked Toyoda, which is weird.
Well, yeah, it's I want to say that the guy that founded the company, his last name was Toyoda with a D.
Yeah, which is, I don't know. It's like finding out that it wasn't Henry Ford, it was Henry Forbes. Like, so.
Well, I think like even Mazda, it was the guy that founded it was Matsuda,
Matsuda.
but
Okay.
it was they shortened it to anyway.
Okay. All right. So I saw this Supra, and this Supra was clean. I don't think it had anything like delivery miles on it, but I think it was low miles. And when I say delivery miles, I mean like 10 miles on it or something, like never been driven. So this Supra was black on tan, 6-speed manual, twin turbo. Yeah, of course. And it went for $155,000.
Oh boy, for a '90s Toyota.
Yeah, well, it wasn't just $155,000. It's like with the auction fees, it was $173,000. So $173,000 for a Supra seems like not a good idea.
Yeah, because like you could get McLaren.
But here's the thing, that Supra is not going to get driven.
You can get like 10 Focus STs.
Yeah, you can, but why would you want to? So that Supra is not going to get.
Wait.
Hold on. Wait, hold on. I have been besmirched.
I don't know what that means.
So you do have a lot of competition in that. Like you could get a Lamborghini, you can get a Ferrari or whatever, but that car is not going to be driven. It's most likely going to go to either a collector or somebody who has a dealership or something like that, so they can hold this outside and say, if you want, it's going to be $200,000 because this is the one. Because just like the one that went for $120 on Bring a Trailer, now he has it in his dealership for $500,000.
Are you serious?
Yeah, but he's not going to sell it for $500,000. with $150,000, he'll sell it to you. But it's just,
I don't know about that.
No, it's so people can talk about his dealership.
Probably 155.
155. Yeah, the price just went up. It just got 10 feet taller. So with this Supra, I don't know where the next ceiling is because I don't see this car being $200,000. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
And
you can get an NSX for way cheaper, and they're like better cars. They're better drivers' cars. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Fight me.
No,
Fight me.
So
Fight me.
The reason
Fight
why
me.
So the reason why the Supra is probably a better platform than the NSX is because you can get way more power out of that engine. And
I'm saying as a driver's car, not as a go fast in a straight line. I'm talking about car you can toss in the corners. Yes,
not necessarily. Again, the NSX did a lot for things in that era, but it's still in that era. I think the Supra with better suspension.
The Supra is in the same era. I'm saying factory for factory. The NSX is a better
car.
Yeah,
it's factory. Yeah, of course. But I'm saying that the whole point of Japanese cars in that era was to modify them. You never left them stock. Nobody ever left them stock, other than people who were like, "Hey, this is going to be worth a lot of money in the future. Maybe I shouldn't leave it stock, or maybe I should leave it stock." So it doesn't make any sense to me because when the Supra was originally, well, not originally, but when it stopped production in the early 2000s, you could get a Haggard Supra for like $10,000.
Oh, even less than that.
Not too much less. They never went real.
Yeah, they did. Absolutely. When I was looking for my first car when I was 15 years old, almost about to turn 16, I was looking at Mark IV Supras for like $7,000.
Those are probably the bottom of the barrel. Then.
Oh yeah, no, but I'm saying like you could get one for $7,000.
Yeah. So I mean, my friend at the time, well, I mean, he's still my friend, but at the time he bought a Supra. It was a 93 6-speed 6-speed manual with twin turbos, and it had like 120,000 miles on it, but it was in good shape. And he paid $17,000 for it.
That's not bad.
And I told him, I was like, dude, you overpaid. And like now, like that car is $45,000, if not
At least.
50.
Yeah.
And it's just insane because that's what nostalgia costs. You know, it's all because people like us grew up with those cars, and they're like, whoa, those are on in every magazine. They were in Fast and Furious, and it's all, look, it makes 1,000 horsepower, and I want one. Hey, I can afford one now. So let me buy it. I want a really nice one. So
well, I think the nostalgia is a major part of it, but specifically in the Supra's case, it is also the horsepower capability that drives up the price.
I don't think so. The only reason why is because the ones that have a ton of horsepower, you don't see a dramatic increase in those prices. The ones that are the most expensive are the ones that are bone stock, and those are staying bone stock. So those are the collector cars, which makes no sense to me, because I just bought one with 200,000 miles on it, and I don't, the price is going up on that too, so I don't care. But it just doesn't make any sense to me because somebody bought that car for $173,000 essentially, and they're getting, if they want to drive it, which probably they won't, but let's just say they do, that experience is that of a 90s Toyota.
Toyota.
There
it is.
Toyota. See, I almost did it. And it's like my Supra drives like a Camry. So it's not a very good driving experience. It's cool. I mean, if you get a lot of power out of it and you can kind of make them handle well and all that stuff, but it's like, it's not going to be modern. It's definitely not going to be up to, like, the Gallardo drives much differently than the Supra.
Oh, well, the Gallardo's a brutal beast.
Right. But if you bought one just like stock, you get one for $100,000. That car is going to be a lot different to drive. It just feels more exotic, feels more purpose-built.
Or heck, even go down to like the 65 to 70 mark, get you a V8 R8 with a,
you
with
get
a 6-speed. It's even better.
Get a V8 R8 or something. But even new for $150,000, you can get something. You get like a BMW or you get a Porsche or something. It's way better.
You get an Aston Martin Vantage.
You could
base model for that.
Yeah, you
price.
could. Or you can get a GT, AMG GT or something.
Yep.
So yeah, that's fine. So I don't get that. But then after that Supra came the oh boy, what was this a great one. So it's a 98 Turbo S Porsche 911. So it's like super rare. It was yellow, and I'm gonna pull it up actually on my Instagram. And usually, like, I don't follow Porsches very well, but I know that they do have their following, obviously, and for the life of me, I can't understand why people pay so much money for Porsches. So, let's see. Gotta log in. Oh, come on. Sorry, we're having technical difficulties here.
Just hit continue.
Oh no, I gotta hit cancel. There we go. Haha. I have mastered technology. Okay, let's go to my Instagram. So take a look at this. Do you see anything wrong here?
Look at this photograph. Every time I do it, it makes me laugh.
Well, every time I do it makes me cry. So this is a 97, Porsche 911 Turbo S. They made, I think, somewhere in like less than 100 of these. They're really, really rare, and it's like the last air-cooled. It's the big engine, so it's Turbo S, turbo, all that stuff. And it has 88 miles on it, so it's delivery mileage, essentially. It was driven nuts. And it went for $950,000. And I say went very loosely because
it didn't meet the reserve.
Yeah, this was a no sale. So somebody put this car up for sale, and they thought they were going to get $1 million. They thought they were going to get the 2 commas on this car. And while it's interesting, if you put this car in a Walmart parking lot, nobody would care. Nobody would care. If you look down here, it's a little bit blurry, but you can see the last car that sold. 1992 Ferrari F40 sold for $920,000. So for $30,000 more, you could have you couldn't because it wouldn't have sold. But that Ferrari F40 sold for $920,000. But what's more interesting is the fact that you could get a about 3 cars before that was a Carrera GT. It was in good shape. I think it might have needed some work or whatever, but it went for $600,000. So that one for $600,000 for $300,000 less than this 90s Porsche. You can get what's arguably the best Porsche ever made, ever, according to Doug DeMuro, and maybe Jay Leno. So I don't know. None of this makes any sense to me. It makes no sense. So would you ever I don't see the value in buying a car with no miles on it and then not driving it.
Other than an investment, me either.
But as an investment, it doesn't make any sense to me because it's a car. Is it just an art piece then? Is it just a piece?
No, it's a piece of automotive history. I understand it. I get it.
Okay, so a piece of automotive history in that, are you just going to sell it to do you just want to have a museum where you can look at it? I don't.
No, you buy it, you hold on to it, you become a good steward of the car, make sure that it is.
When you say a good steward of the car, it's just okay. What I think is being a good steward of the car is maybe we can argue about this. Being a good steward of the car, it means driving the car. Means because the reason why a car exists is to be driven.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. But if you're paying that much money for a car like that, I don't think you would want to drive it because you would want to keep it in that condition in which it retains its value. This is just when you have so much money that no one cares. Who cares?
If you don't care, then why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you drive that?
Because you hold on to it for 3 or 4 years, let the value increase even further, and then sell it again.
But I don't get the proposition that the value increases. I don't understand that because
you don't have to. That's just how cars work.
Right. But what I'm saying is I don't understand why. Let's say you have this would be a bad example with a computer or something. Actually, it wouldn't be a bad example because computers also are, it's technology. Technology changes and, there's different styles and whatever. Let's say my laptop, right? My laptop is the last of its kind. Let's say they started using different types of keyboards or something, and this is the last one you can get with this keyboard, with this screen and all that stuff. But then it's like I've never used it. Well, actually, that's a really bad example.
You're proving my point.
I'm not proving your point because the point of a car is to be driven. Okay, I'm not. Let's stop talking about laptops.
Sure. When it was brand new, absolutely. But someone bought that car, they saw the potential and value, and they held on to it without driving it. I'm sure they ran the motor to make sure that it didn't seize up or rust over.
Why though?
Money.
But
money.
Can you explain? Okay, explain to me, an idiot, how a car which is designed to run and drive and have, especially a sports car like that, have a particular experience that you convey. That experience has never been conveyed. It's there only in the imagination of the person that is paying $1 million.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me counter you with this. What's the point of basketball cards and baseball cards, and they're worth tens and thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars if you get the rare one? That's never been touched by human hands. They actually haven't.
They're going down in price now because a lot of people are actually realizing this exact thing. What's the point? Because they made so many of them.
Yeah, but those things have been around for probably close to 100 years.
Sure.
The thought of trading cards.
Okay, trading cards. Okay, but you're talking about something in pristine condition, correct?
Sure.
Okay. But the point of a basketball card or whatever, it's not to necessarily be. You can still trade it and not touch it. That's a degradation thing. I can understand keeping a car clean. I have no problem with that.
Right. I'm saying what is the purpose of the basketball card? What is its purpose?
Well, the trading card thing is literally just to sell gum or whatever. That was just an ancillary thing, and then
they sell packs of trading cards.
I know, but originally they came as a thing where it's a trading card is like, hey, you buy this pack of gum, and then I buy this pack of gum. I get different stuff. That way, you just buy more gum. That's the whole thing. And then after a while, it became its own thing. It has its own economy. And then people started trading these things, and they don't have any inherent value. It's like the stock market because it's sort of like that. It's like I agree that this has a certain amount of value, and then you agree that has a certain amount of value. We trade it. That sort of thing. I get that. with the
So it's just like with the cars.
It's
People
not-
agree
it-
that it has
no.
a certain amount of value.
No. I understand that cars have value. I get that. What I'm saying is the value from a car, its sole purpose is to be driven. That's its sole purpose. Okay. It has, again, these attributes that it conveys to the driver, especially with, I'm not talking about a car that, we're not talking about concept cars here. Concept cars are just pieces of art that can't be driven or whatever. I understand those. Like the Bugatti, the black car, that car, nobody's ever going to drive that car. Nobody's going to know what the top speed of that car is because nobody cares. It's $20 million. That's going to go.
16.
Okay. Well, with taxes, who knows? It's going to go to Singapore. And it's going to be like 50 million.
The guy that used to own Volkswagen bought it. So
Oh, okay.
the guy
John
responsible.
Volkswagen bought it?
No, the guy that's responsible for Dieselgate.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's good that he's going up
Yeah,
in the world.
yeah.
So that car, it's going to go away into some garage and never be seen again.
So maybe that's why this car is worth so much money. The people that bought the other cars took them out, drove them, potentially wrecked them, repaired them. Then the production number of the original number of those cars
no.
probably has gone down.
No. So these cars were made. These are production cars. Okay.
Right.
I'm not talking about. You could actually make that argument more with something like a Carrera GT, where it is very limited production, and then they take that into account where people aren't really going to be driving them, but like very, very sparingly, and they're going to have low mileage. These are production cars. These are made on a production line. They're not hand built. They're nothing like that.
Do you know that for a fact about these specific cars?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Porsche 911 Turbo S. I mean, insofar as they're not like a Ferrari or Lamborghini where everything is, like one guy makes the engine and then, another person does the whole interior and then they have to take a break for 3 weeks and then, and they come back and they don't know where they put all the bolts. So that's sort of how that works.
I think what it comes down to is that these cars, maybe not by you, but sometimes by me and other people, they are perceived as art.
I get that. But if the argument is, if that's the argument that they're art, it doesn't really hold a lot of water with me, because then you can have, they did have that episode on Top Gear where it's like, the whole point of art is that is
itself.
It's itself. And that's not a car. Like it can never be a car just based on that one, obviously art is subjective and all that stuff, but
So are values of cars.
sure. It's only worth what,
Subject to the people that are willing to pay it.
sure. But what I'm saying is it doesn't make any sense to me, and it doesn't have to. But
So why are we having this conversation?
we're having this. We're having this conversation because, like, I'm looking at a Porsche that looks almost identical to a Porsche that you can get for like 50 grand.
But
it goes for $1
stop
million,
let's
and the guy's
stop
like,
right there.
"Nope, not enough."
Let's stop right there. We're talking about specifically a Porsche, and in the
Yes.
car world, the Porsche people, they are their own breed. They are their own subset, their own.
Are you saying that
species.
people with Porsches are inbred? Is that what you're saying?
No. I'm just saying that they are their own species. They have their own economy, their own way of communicating with each other, because
Sure.
that's how somehow the Porsche owners have evolved.
Right.
The culture around those cars has evolved. The brand has evolved.
The brand has evolved. The car hasn't.
Correct. But don't say that to a Porsche person, because then you're going to get a history lesson and it's going to take 3 hours.
Oh, don't you know that the 1964 and a half Porsche is actually a long nose?
And then they started using a different thread pitch for the bolts to hold the body to the frame. And you're like, oh, wow, hey, cool. Well, my coffee's gone cold. Got to go get a fresh cup and then just leave.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
it's people with money, people with time, and people with Porsches.
Listen, I understand, but there's other. I mean, it's exactly the same vein as that Supra. That Supra was never meant to be some garage queen that isn't getting driven. Like
So the fact that one was or is in the great shape makes it rare. I agree that I would never pay 150 grand for a 90s Toyota, but
okay. So to me, what I'm thinking about when I see these cars, right? When I go, here's a car that has 88 miles on it, or it had 90 miles on it. Imagine you go to an auction, and then for some reason, there's a issue with the speedometer or something, and it clicks over to 100. How much money do you think you've lost right there? It clicks over from 2 digits to 3 digits. You think you lost 100 grand there? I think probably.
I don't know. I feel like that would still be considered delivery miles
I
after people having taken it on test drives and stuff.
Mentally, 2 digits is way more expensive than 3 digits. You know what's more expensive than that? 1 digit. You have a Corvette with 4 miles on it, you're getting paid. But if you have a Turbo S with 90 miles on it, but then it goes to 104, mentally it's a little bit different. So I don't know how those are 10 very expensive miles on that car. But what I'm saying is, when you look at a Supra, and the Supra is very similar to the Turbo S. It's kind of the top of its line. It's a sports car. It's supposed to be engaging for the driver. All this stuff. It was never a super exclusive car. They made, in one iteration or another, they made a lot of these cars.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be the twin turbo, 6-speed Targa, whatever. It could just be a base model, non-turbo, whatever, that looks almost identical to that. And then you can put 300,000 miles on it.
It's not the factory twin turbo 6-speed that everyone wants. Just like that Porsche.
But I don't think everyone wants that. I don't think that's what everyone wanted anyway.
But if you're a collector, that's what you want. You want a numbers matching car that has all the options and was worth the most money when it was sold.
I think those people are dying off. And I'm wondering,
because they're all like 80 and 90 years old.
Right. Because numbers matching meant something when everybody swapped engines. Because you never knew where.
I'm just using that as an example. What I'm saying is that Porsche, that yellow Porsche, even though they made 11 million 911s,
yes,
that one, 97 was the last year of the air-cooled Porsches, correct?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes.
Okay, so it's the last year of the air-cooled Porsches. How many of that exact model were made? Like 100?
Probably something.
Okay.
Like that. Yeah.
How many of those have low mileage?
Yeah. Oh,
how many of those are that exact color?
That exact color and all that
with
stuff.
Options.
Yeah. Then you get into like, it's a one-of-one car. But that you know what? That's a really bad argument, because the Hemi Cuda had that same thing. I remember when Hemi Cudas were like, if you had one that was purple and 4-speed and had the 4-barrel carb and whatever, people were charging like $1.2 million for these. And right? And then you look at it and like, yeah, but it's low mileage, and there's only in the factory they only made so many purple cars. Like, they made 60,000 of these things in 1 year. Like, I don't understand. Okay, fine, it's one rare example. Who cares? You're gonna pay
Mopar guys, another subset of car culture.
But they don't.
With a bunch of really weird people.
But they don't anymore, because those cars, those $1.2 million cars, they went through the floor. That same car is now like 200, 300 grand. It's rare, but it's not $1 million rare. And I think that's what's going to happen with this Porsche, because somebody is going to pay $1 million for this Porsche, and then 3 years down the line, they're going to be like, hey, I got it. It's just a regular Porsche.
I think that any exotic car or performance car from that era, from the 90s, with double-digit miles, is going to be worth a fair bit regardless.
It's going to be worth a fair bit, but not $1 million. If that car was $300,000, I'd be like, wow, that's okay.
Wow.
Wow. Thank you, Owen Wilson. Now you can go back to
wow, that's a really nice car.
So for again, 300 grand. And I don't know, people in the comments are like, but an RSR is $500,000 and a GT3 RS and a 911R, blah, blah, blah.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know. These are, RSR is like the rarest of the rare, and like it poops gold, and it has an engine that's made by Pixies, and it's
what I thought the 911 GT1 was like one of the most rare Porsches.
Yeah, but it has those egg headlights, so nobody wants it.
But it's called the Strassen version.
Okay.
You know what car I would love to have, and I would probably never be able to fit in it? I would love to have one of the road-going CLK GTRs.
I knew you were going to say that.
God.
I knew. Okay, so let's pull that up. I saw one of these road-going CLK GTRs in Goodwood, and I was like, why did Mercedes make this? Like, this makes...
It's spectacular. They also made, I think, only 1 or 2 convertible versions.
Yes. So let's take a look at this.
Oh, man.
So that's a CLK GTR. What I love is that it has taillights from a car that you can now get for $900.
Yes.
On Craigslist, which I love.
And the headlights as well, I believe, are the exact same.
Yes. I think the grille as well. So, I mean, I love that.
It looks just spectacular.
But you can, like, this is when they say, okay, you have to make a road going homologation version, and they go, okay, we'll just put a Le Mans car on the road. We'll just give it like some
Dude, the 90s were the best.
some taillights and like this is okay. So this is a Roadster, and the Roadster is.
I think they made one silver and one black.
This is insane. That's an insane car.
Is that red leather and red guts or burgundy guts?
I don't think so. I think it's just black.
Oh, that's a person's face.
Yeah. No, he's just sunburned because he can't put the roof back on.
I don't usually like convertibles. I almost like the Roadster more than I like the hardtop for this car.
So I think this car looks weird. I think it definitely looks very odd.
Yes.
For I don't like the front fascia. It looks like a regular car that's been in an accident.
It looks like a regular C-Class that's been put into Photoshop and just like
Yes.
stretched. Like they put it in the liquefy filter.
Yeah.
That is one heck of an underbite.
Yes, very, very big underbite.
Dude, come on. 90s car, giant roof scoop. Like, that's
So this
just
is the Mercedes
cool.
version of the McLaren F1.
Or the Porsche GT1.
Yes, something like that. So this is fine, but this is a race car for the road. I can make that the argument that you were making for the really rare cars. That's a car that you would make it for because a person that buys that, they're going to be 60 and they're not going to be interested in driving a Le Mans race car on the road. They're just going to want to get it for the nostalgia factor or whatever.
Maybe it's the same thing with that yellow Porsche.
But it's not.
Maybe it is.
But it's not.
Maybe it is. You yourself said you did not understand.
No.
You said you did not understand this situation.
I understand.
And now you are so sure in your answers and your analysis.
I understand
of
the situation. I'm just saying it's wrong. That's what I'm saying.
You think it's wrong?
No, it's like buying a Ford Tempo, right? A Ford Tempo. There are museum quality Ford Tempos out there. You can get one with 100 miles on it, one that was parked at a dealership or something and either forgotten about or somebody left it in their garage. And then
this is a poor argument.
It's not a poor argument.
The Ford Tempo is a base model economy car.
Right, but what I'm saying is it's a mass market car. It's a car that was meant to do a certain thing, right?
But that specific Porsche is not a mass market car. That Turbo 4S.
What if I told you that it was
4S?
What if I told you that Ford Tempo was made in that color, in that transmission, in that interior combination with those delivery set of tires, made with that with the undercoating and all that stuff, and then we whittle that down to some number where it's like, they only made 30 of these cars.
Right, but it doesn't have the pedigree that the Porsche does. And it doesn't have the status.
So now you're talking about status.
Yeah.
Okay. So then status doesn't make any sense. Because status does not make any sense.
Okay.
It doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
Then it's just badge engineering. Then it's like now we
yeah,
we could charge $1 million just because it's a different badge.
Have you experienced the car world at all?
Have you seen cars?
Do you understand how cars?
This is a man who owns 2 Lamborghinis. He's like, why would people pay more for a badge? That's just dumb.
Rolls-Royce black badge. The badge is black.
Wait, really? I didn't know. I didn't know. The badge is black.
I don't even think the badges are black on a black badge. Rolls-Royce. It's just called a Rolls-Royce black badge.
Okay. It doesn't even have black badge.
And it doesn't say anywhere on the car. It's just that's a black badge.
Oh, okay. Yes. Right. So that still doesn't make any sense to me. I don't think it is a particularly compelling argument. And I could have butchered this completely, and people could be angry at me in the comments.
I can't wait to read the comments.
I don't care.
Oh, me either. I just can't wait.
I don't care. Hopefully, you guys are with me on the right side of history. But what I think is going to happen with the Porsche world is these crazy prices, they're going to go up a little bit more. You're going to see some more of these Turbo S's that have delivery miles, and people are like, oh my God, it's the guard's red, but it's not the real guard's red. It's like a factory blemish and whatever. And then they're going to pay $3 million for this thing. And then in 10 or 20 years, when those people start to, go down, then the next wave comes in where you're going to see, 2000s era's cars really start to ramp up, and they're going to be like, hey, what's really cool? The 996 GT3. Like, those are really nice. Or you're going to see, maybe early Murcielago that was in the Fast and Furious 8. And but you're going to
start the bidding at 120.
You jest, but dude, when this car is done, I would love to take it to Barrett Jackson, and I have an in. So I actually spent the day with the founder of the Amelia Island Concours. He came to my shop and we had lunch. And because I have a race car that I want to do a charity auction with. And we were talking about, he was talking about the exact moment he realized that the car market passed him by. So, he grew up with like 50s and 60s cars, all that stuff. And he loved those things. But then he was looking at an auction and then he saw a Porsche, like a 70s slant nose, original slant nose. And it was like some rare, whatever.
Well, original slant noses are rare.
Yeah, it was super rare, but it was like a slant nose 930 turbo with the blah, 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 blah. And it was like one of one, And then he said that car went for 2.3 million. And he was like, okay, take a step back. Like, what just happened? And he realized like, oh, I'm at the other end of the bell curve now. Because before everything was coming up because everything was like my nostalgia. But then the second that bell curve started to shift, he like wrote this down on a napkin. He's like, that bell curve shifts and now you are on the other end of that curve. So what happens is all the people that now had all those high dollar cars, they're selling them off and those values are plummeting. So nobody gives a crap about those anymore. Like a Model A, those cars, we were just talking with one of the guys at the garage next door. He was like, Model A's, they're going down in price because nobody cares about them anymore. You get like a Chrysler 5-window or something. Nobody cares about those hot rods, even though they were really expensive at one point.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, and now you can find them for like 20 grand or something. Like now they're going down. I don't think we're going to get to the point where Duesenbergs are cheap, but I think you're going to see a point where Porsches aren't as big as they were because people realize that we made 1 million of these things. And yeah, there are certain pockets which are more rare than others, but they're gonna plateau, just like Japanese cars and all that stuff. I'm wondering what the next unattainable car is gonna be.
Focus ST, man.
Focus ST?
I'll tell you what.
Well, you got the ST3 package, so that already puts you in a different echelon, right?
Yeah.
And you got the what is it? The black pearl? What
Tuxedo black. Yeah,
Tuxedo black.
Which is the most common color.
Well, it's the most common color, but she cleaned though. Well, she goes to Mr. Car Wash, so that's got to add a few shekels on there. So
few swirls.
A few swirls.
Has the
on
original Mr. Car Wash membership sticker on the windshield.
Yeah, exactly. You have so much. There's a lot of provenance. It's cars been on the internet. So I don't know what cars would be. The next stage. Maybe it is something like a Lamborghini Murcielago. I'm thinking maybe it could be like an Aston Martin DBS, like a manual. V12 Vantage. It was the last manual, even though they say they're going to make a manual with the new Vantage, which they're not. And who knows what those next cars are going to be. And then the next cars after that is going to be interesting because then you get into everything's automatic, everything's dual clutch, everything's computerized. So what do people want? Are the first Tesla's going to be a collector's item,
I hope not. Well, the Roadster,
No, not even. No, the Roadster might be because it was such small numbers, but like the original Tesla, those aren't going to be around.
Well, the original Tesla Roadsters, you can still get them. They're still like 60 or 70 grand.
I know, but what I'm saying, like a 2012 Model S, like a first-year Model S with like everything.
Well, it won't work. It'll be broken, so it won't be worth anything.
I mean, there's not a lot to go wrong in those cars. It's not a ton of.
I know, but it still does. We had, believe me, I'm speaking from experience.
I drove one with 100,000 miles. It wasn't that bad.
That's fine.
Yeah,
but I'm saying when I worked at the service center,
I'm sure. Listen, I know Teslas have problems. I'm talking to the Tesla hipsters. Like, let me tell you, Tesla is the worst. Long to Leon.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that the first gen Model S's have a bajillion problems.
Sure. Okay. But what I'm saying is maybe those cars, just because they were the first, they were like the disruptor or whatever, they had so much news coverage, they had so much going for them at that point. Maybe those become a something that people want, like as a nostalgia thing. Like, hey, I remember Tesla Model S's. Maybe I can afford one of these, or these are kind of cool. Let me see what they're about, and see how far we've progressed. Because sometimes you'd like to buy an '80s car just to see how crappy it is, and not how crappy it is, but how 80s it is.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Like, oh yeah.
Okay, so we drove a. I just got in a 1991 Nissan Skyline GTR. and Prime Driven sent it to me so I can do a review on it. And you drove it around, and you said like this car is great, but like you're comparing it to cars of that era. You're not comparing it to cars like today. Oops. That is not very professional. My phone went off. I'm sorry. I apologize. I will.
Unacceptable.
I will do penance. But you're comparing that car to cars of its era.
No,
right?
I'm comparing that to just cars that I've driven in my life.
Well,
I'm not saying it's the best driving car and it's the fastest or anything, but it is enjoyable to drive.
So you have to temper those expectations, right? You have to say, okay, but this is enjoyable to drive. One, full stop. It's enjoyable to drive as just as a car, but it's also enjoyable to drive despite the fact that it's also 30 years old.
Okay,
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't be like, if you get a brand new car and it drives like a Skyline, you'd be like, this thing is broken. Something wrong with this car. It's real loose and this something ain't right.
Yeah.
Like your Focus drives like it's made 20 years after that car.
Yes, yeah.
Like there's certain things about it. Just even though that's a cheaper car, quote unquote. It just drives differently. And the same way I think maybe Teslas are going to be seen, or something that we wouldn't. The same way that we won't be we won't understand what kind of cars the market will prop up as the next nostalgia thing.
I wonder if 300ZXs will get up there. Especially ones with V8 swaps.
I think they should.
Yeah, they should. They totally should.
Yeah, they should. Okay, so you guys should check that out. We're doing a 300ZX with a V8 swap, and it hasn't started yet, but it will. It will.
The build, the process has started. The car has not.
Yes. Okay, so go check that out. We're going to answer some questions, but we're actually running. We got an hour, so I think we're good.
We should answer one question each from our posts.
Let's do that.
We both posted on Instagram.
Yes. So you look for an Instagram question.
I got one right here.
Okay, let's do that.
Neck_Arbor.
Boy, starting off great.
Is Andrew ever going to get a rear-wheel drive project car? The answer is yes. I will eventually get another first-gen RX-7.
Knew that was coming. Okay.
And I have a lot of plans for whichever one I get. So,
what are your plans?
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to spoil the surprise, bro.
Give me a little hint. Give me a little what's your?
Okay. I will give you a word, and you can use the word to Google and find out if you wish. Mariah. That's all I'll give you.
Carrie?
Sure.
How do you spell it?
Mariah.
Mariah. Okay.
Yep. So there it is.
Okay, so that's you can thank Andrew for that one.
I like to be cryptic. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. 911 says, "Are you planning to drag racing your TT Lambo?" Maybe. I don't know. I have to strengthen the transmission because drag launches are real hard on that thing, and definitely got to get some new axles and all that stuff. But I'd like to take it to a track. That'd be kind of cool.
Be awesome.
But it's also real scary because I don't know if you guys know. Fast cars tend to be fast. And when you have a manual car that's fast, you have so much more control of everything. So it's not just like a McLaren. You just put it in launch control and then you put it in automatic. You don't even have to do that. No, you just put it in automatic and just off you go. But with this, like there's clutch involved. Everything is grabby. It's you have to modulate throttle. When the turbo kicks in, it's like everything's aftermarket and it's not 100% tuned. Like it's tuned well, but it's not 100% tuned right for the conditions. So you're gonna have to do some tuning on the fly. There's a lot that goes into it with something like that, with like essentially a home built car and a home built Lamborghini that makes a ton of power. So yeah, maybe I'll make a ton of excuses along the way.
That's it.
I want to answer.
No, that's it.
Okay,
No. Well, that's it. That's it. So, thanks for watching, guys.
Okay,
thanks for tuning in.
Yes.
You can find our social links in the description below. If you want to send us an email, you can hit us up at carguystalk@gmail.com and or irangeeveryday@gmail.com. We should probably get that consolidated into something or other.
Yeah, get right on that.
Yep. Sure will. Maybe never.
You were going good. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, click
Oh,
that
jeez.
notification
Okay,
bell. Be part of the
until
Notification
next time, this is
Squad
me.
fam.
This is
Wrench Gang.
Yeah, this is Ratcheteers. You guys are Ratcheteers.
Wrench Gang.
Ratchet
The Wrench Gang. Wrench Gang.
No.
Wrench Gang.
No, not
We're
Wrench
starting
Gang.
a gang.
We're not.
Starting a gang.
We're starting a very violent gang.
Yep.
We only use wrenches.
Yep.
Yes.
We want to be as ratchet as possible. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you next time.